Okay, I'm going to show you a couple of shots here that come up playing 9-ball or 8-ball or any pool game that is overlooked. And they're pretty tough shots, but it's a shot that everybody can shoot. Here we have the 1-ball sitting here just a hair below the side pocket. Well, the ball that we have to get position on is the 2, which is at this end rail. Now we can't come back this way because the 7's blocking us, so we can't come around this way. So what we have to do is we have to figure out a way to go forward. So how we'll do this, we'll hit this with about 1 o'clock on your cue ball. So you act like your cue ball is a clock, and it's the face of a clock. You want to hit it right at the number 1. Just high and follow through on it. We'll hit it pretty firm. We'll shoot the 1 in here. The cue ball will strike the side rail, come out, and go back down table for position on the 2. This is the way to shoot this shot. High, right. Now that's the way to get the cue ball down table for position on the 2. Okay, you broke the balls. Everything's come to rest right here. You have the 1 here. You have a blocker up here. You have 2 blockers here. The next ball that we have to get position on is the 2. So the way we'll do that is this is a stroke shot that you have to hit pretty firm, but it's really a shot that gets the oohs and ahs out of the audience. You know, they'll say, ooh, look at that shot. But this is the way we'll do this. We'll shoot the 1 straight in, hitting this with a high center cue ball. What it does is it'll strike the rail, come out, and then go forward. Past this stuff, go to the end rail, and back over here for position on the 2. This is hit with a high center cue ball. Maybe just a touch of left-hand English, but high center. Shoot the ball straight in, hit it pretty firm. Now that shot is a little tricky, but all you're doing is this ball is really lying to you. It's not in the way at all. Just hit it with a high center cue ball. It'll slap this rail. It'll come out, and then the force of the shot will take it forward, and you can go to the end rail and back out for the 2.
Here we come to the table with multiple options. There are actually 3 ways to play this shot. I'm going to demonstrate all 3 ways to you. First, we have the shot that we come around the table. We'll strike the cue ball at about 8 o'clock, sending the 8-ball in this corner pocket, the cue ball to this side rail, the end rail, to this side rail, and back to this area right in here for position on the 9. Now this shot, you always want to play it long. You don't want to just come in and play 3 rails because this corner pocket gets way too big. What you want to do is you want to make sure you play it long. You want to try to come into this diamond, so you go down deep. This is about 8 o'clock on your cue ball. Now this is the second way to play this shot. Here we actually address the cue ball at about 5 o'clock. We hit it low into the right-hand side, sending the 8-ball into the corner pocket. The cue ball will give it kind of a whipping action to come down like this, strike the end rail and the side rail, and come back to this side of the table for position on the 9. This is about 5 o'clock, low right-hand English. very difficult shot. The reason it's a difficult shot is because of the positioning of the 3 to the 4. We have to figure out a way to get from here to there. Now, since there's not a natural angle for the ball to travel or a natural path, we have to create our own. And the way we'll do that is we use a high center cue ball, shooting the 3 straight in the corner, striking this rail with a high center ball. The cue ball come out, go down table, hit the end rail, and back out into this area for position on the 4. Now this is a high center cue ball. Notice here that the cue ball takes high English after it leaves the rail, coming down to the end rail and back out for the 4. Here again we have a very tough shot. The reason that this shot is so tough is because of the positioning of the 4 and 5. All natural lines or angles or routes to the 5 are blocked. So what we have to do here is we have to create our own angle. What we have to do is get from here to here. Now the way we'll do this is we'll elevate our cue to about 45 degrees, striking down on the cue ball at about 11 o'clock. And what this will actually do is the cue ball, when it makes contact with a 4, we'll pocket the 4 there. As soon as it makes contact, it'll give it a little bit of a hooking motion. It'll actually curve, striking the rail here and coming in actually lower than what it is right now for position on the 5. You do this at about 45 degrees with 11 o'clock cue ball. Notice that the cue ball starts making its bend as soon as it touches the table, bending back down around the 6 and 7 for position on it. Here we have a situation where we can't follow the natural path of the cue ball. The 8 and 9 are in the way. We have to play position on the 7 ball. So what we'll do here is, instead of using the natural angle of the 6, we'll create our own angle. And the way you do that is you hit the cue ball with a low left-hand English, striking the 6 right here to make it in the pocket with a low left-hand cue ball, drawing the cue ball to hit the end rail here, this rail, and the side rail, and come up for position on the 7 ball. Now this is low left, about 7 o'clock. Again, we have a situation that looks almost impossible. We have to go down table. We can't go around this way because the 8's blocking too much of the ball to play position into this corner pocket. So what we're going to do is we're going to reverse the cue ball again, strike this rail, that rail, that rail, that rail, and come back to this area for position. Now what you do there is you hit it with a low left-hand cue ball about 7 o'clock. That'll give you a spinning action like this. Now what happens when it hits this side rail, it's still doing that. So when it hits that side rail, it reverses and goes long and brings you around the table. So we'll hit the shot like this. It's a low left-hand cue ball about 7 o'clock. Now the balls have come to rest in this position. The natural way to play this shot would be to come around 3 rails to get
from here to there. But we can't do that. The 9 ball is blocking that path. So here's an option that you have on this particular shot, to bank the 7 ball across the side. You do this by using a high center cue ball, 12 o'clock, shooting the 7 straight into the rail and letting the cue ball pass over the 7, giving it a light natural turn toward the pocket. All you have to do is paste the cue ball to the end rail for the 8 ball. This is a high center cue ball. Now the balls have come to rest in this position. We have to figure out a way to get from here to there. About the only 2 ways that I know of to do this. First is to draw the ball with a low left-hand cue ball, shooting the 8 straight in, trying to touch a little of the side rail and the end rail and spinning over to this area for position on the 9. This is a low left-hand cue ball about 7 o'clock. In this particular shot, we've come to a situation where the 7 ball is setting to the left-hand side of the side pocket. Now we know we have to go in this direction to get position on the 8. So we're limited. We know that we have to come this way. So we'll hit this with a low left-hand cue ball about 7 o'clock. We'll shoot the 7 in the side, striking the side rail, this end rail, this side rail, and this side rail, and bringing the cue ball back out to this area right in here. This is the low left-hand cue ball. Here we have an identical shot. We just have a different situation. Now what we have to do, we have to get position on the 8. We know we can't come in this direction because of the 9 ball. So what we'll have to do, we have to hit the 7 ball on the left-hand side with a high right-hand English. That's high right-hand cue ball with at about 1 o'clock. That should give you a whipping action. When you shoot the 7 in, you'll strike the side rail, come out, and give it a whipping action to come down table for position on the 8. This is high right.